What's happening, guys? I'm Ash, and today let's check out the differences between an Ernie Ball Music Man Stingray and an Ernie Ball Music Man Stingray RS. So I've been a fan of how the Ernie Ball Music Man Stingray guitars look for quite a while now, and I was very lucky to be able to pick up 2 of them in the past year on the used market in Japan, where I live. And it's quite rare because they're not very common here, and if you buy them new, they're much more expensive than you would pay in the US or Europe. So basically I picked up the standard Stingray first, and I was gonna buy it, check it out, and if I didn't like it I would sell it on, but that's pretty much not gonna happen now. Of course, they're very expensive guitars, but the quality is actually very evident when you play it. The first thing that struck me was definitely the neck on both of them and just how smooth and easy it is to use, and especially for me, I just love using it. But when I saw them, I saw that one of them is called a Stingray and one of them is called a Stingray RS, so I didn't have a clue what the difference was. So RS stands for roasted maple on the neck, and as you can see, it looks a bit like my grandmother's armchair. It feels really, really good and very smooth on the neck. It's fantastic. So one thing I like about the roasted maple in terms of tuning stability is, as I've said before, I live in Japan, and Japan is a country where the humidity fluctuates all the time, especially the difference between the summer and the winter. And since I've had this, it's almost summer now and the humidity has been rising and decreasing quite often. But what I've been doing is I've just been tuning it into drop D and then putting it aside in my room. At the moment I'm not using any dehumidification in the room, but I will be very soon. But I've noticed that when I pick it up, it's basically in tune. I barely have to change anything, so it may be like a fine adjustment, but that's really about it. But it's the same for the other guitar too. The standard Stingray is the same. I don't really have to tune that either. So I think maybe if you're playing a lot, and that's where the stability really comes through, is that if I was playing for hours and hours or playing gigs or things like that, possibly it helps there, but I'm not sure. So the specs are pretty much the same. They both have shallow locking tuners. They're both African mahogany. They have the Music Man tremolo bridge. The neck is maple, but of course this one is roasted. And the pickups in both of them just say that they're Music Man custom mount pickups, and I think that's because they're basically made for each guitar, because there's not actually like a name for them that I could find anyway that's on the, the base when you buy it from a store and there's information. It doesn't really say anything. I mean, I would have to probably dive into some Ernie Ball Music Man groups to find out exactly what the pickups are, but I think they're just custom for each one because they seem very similar but a little bit different. And the fingerboard is rosewood and it's maple for the standard. So in the playthrough at the start, I played one riff twice. The first one was done using this one and the second one was done using the standard. And it was tracked through my EVH5150 on the red channel into the 2-notes Torpedo Captor X with no boost, no additional added things to the software, no EQ pedal, anything, just the raw tone. In the post, I just did a high and low cut and that's it. The drums are GetGood Drums. Of course, I could mix a lot of the stuff to sound really good, but what's the point, isn't it? The whole point is that you're trying to see if it sounds good without that. If you do play a lot of cleans, I would probably go with the Ernie Ball Cutlass version, which has single coil pickups. But if you're just a clean player, I think either one is good. If you play a lot of rock music, like, not heavy gain, not super heavy gain, but, kind of just rock and radio rock, etc., then once again, I think both of them sound really good. If you're just playing rock music, I would just stick with the standard pickups and either one, whichever one you can get. They both sound really cool. So let's try the RS to the DSL20. No boost, no EQ or nothing like that. And I think for rock stuff, it just works really, really well. Let's use the standard Stingray through the amp too. So this one feels just as good as the RS, to be honest with you. The neck's a little bit, not as smooth as the other one, but still a great fitting neck. It fits in my hand very, very comfortably. And like I said before, if you're gonna do rock stuff, then the standard pickups are fine for it, but in terms of like, of course this is in drop D, and if I tune down, I can imagine how kind of flabby it's gonna get, but like, the gain is pretty much up on the amp as, to the nice sweet spot that you get. But as you can hear, it's a little bit flabby. It's not very suitable for that stuff. Now, if I do use a EQ pedal and a boost, let's check it out, shall we? So I'm going to use an MXR 10 band EQ into the front, as well as the Peper's 33. Yes, sure. Okay. So you can hear a little bit more noise. Ooh, a little bit of buzz there, but let's try that. Let's try out the neck pickup. Let's try out the RS with the EQ and the boost. Sounds really good. So for me it sounds really good, but like I said, it's a little bit too spongy in the pickup area. So what I'm going to be doing is replacing the pickups. Not that the pickups are bad, it's just for what I particularly want to do in terms of having a more high gain sound. I've seen a few people playing RSs and Stingrays, and they usually change out the pickups if they're doing more high gain stuff like I am, and that's the only reason for it. The pickups sound amazing, they're really cool, but it's just a little bit, for what my goal is and what I want to do, a little bit different. So overall, I would just say the difference is very, very slim. Like this neck is, I would say, much faster, much smoother. But I think, I'm not sure how much the price difference is, but if you can't afford maybe the RS and the standard is more in your budget, if you're a rock player, I would just go with that, and it still feels as good. I do like the look of this more because it just looks cool, doesn't it, on the back and the neck, etc. But the standard too is just really, really cool and a lovely guitar. So I'm very lucky to have got these, and I definitely recommend them to you for anyone. Even if you just see them in a shop, just try the neck, because when I picked up the neck I was like, oh my god, this is exactly what I want. It kind of reminds me of Strandberg, like, the headless guitars. It's very similar to that for me. So I'm not really gonna play any more because it's just demoing the amp, right? I mean, all guitars sound different to different amps, but yeah, these are great guitars. Definitely recommend them. Now, like I've already said, there are small differences which, to be honest, I really can't really feel. But if there's anyone in the comments that can help, to clarify the differences between the two. You know, for me, it's very, very little, but of course this neck is much better. Please leave a comment and let me know anything that's going to help anyone in deciding between these two guitars. All right, guys, catch you again. See you next time.